Hi there, my name is FixFox, and welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. Today, we're going to be going over the tier ranking video for all of the different heroes that you will find within the dungeon faction here in Olden Era. FixFox, is this too soon to be doing a tier ranking video? I would say yeah. Early access isn't even going to come out until 2026, and right now all we have is the demo. But I must tell you that if we have any scrap of information, we are absolutely going to be asking the questions: which heroes should I take for myself into Jadame as I go exploring and having a really fun time? So really, there's no time like the present than to talk about these heroes, starting off with the Minotaur, Creta. Now, this is a pretty nifty hero that's going to be a high economy choice. Creta is going to be a overlord, meaning that they go into the attack skill and the defense skill more often than not. They are a high economy choice because they will produce 1 gem per day for you. And given that your cave dragons are going to require 20 gems, and the upgraded dwelling is also going to require a hefty amount of gems, tell you what, you can never have too many gems as the dungeon faction. Now, they also are going to scale into the late game, which is going to be a feature that a lot of these heroes have. Very few heroes have just a good early on, and then they kind of fall off later on, sort of a deal. And in this case, you're going to get +1 gems every 5 levels of hero that you do get. Not to mention, though, any piles of gems that Creta finds on the battle map or the adventure map, she is going to get double the amount from that. Worth noting that your economy is also going to be strong because she starts off with the basic economy secondary skill, which will give you 500 additional gold per day. Pretty darn good, knowing that this is going to be lots of gold, lots of gems, can't go wrong with it. Worth noting that she also starts off with Ground Sight in the spell book, and it's a spell that allows you to see through the fog of war and kind of see where neutral enemies are on the adventure map. That can be very useful in the early game to sort of help you plan. That can be very useful to help you figure out where ought I to go in order to be the most effective with my turns. So really, got some early game value here. But will this hero be good for you on a template that's single hero mode? I would say not. I would say that if this is going to be a multi-hero playthrough, then Creta is a fine choice. But if this is your single player playthrough, I'm guessing probably not so much. So where's that going to land her in the tier rankings? I'm going to put them healthily into, we're going to put it here into this kind of B tier area. We're going to rename these, by the way. S tier is going to be can't go wrong. That just seems obvious to me. You can't go wrong. This is going to be, for A tier, it's going to be a very fine choice, right? That's a fine choice. Can't go wrong with that. That's a fine choice, right? B tier is going to be, well, I can make this work. Yeah, I can make this work. Yeah, I can definitely make this kind of hero work. And then for C tier, it's going to be tough to use. Tough to use. This could work, but it's going to be tough to use and make it work all the time. And then D tier is going to be FixFox needs more info. Yeah. This is going to be just so that way I can make sure that, if I feel like I need more information for a hero and I don't feel like I can make an educated guess, this is going to be my section where I kind of punt on that. So, Creta, you go into this I can make this work sort of stage, and we're grateful for your service. Next off, we're going to go to another Minotaur. This is going to be the Minotaur Devir. Devir, the son of Devir, is a Minotaur hero, might-based, so an overlord, and all of the Minotaurs under their command are going to receive additional speed, initiative, and hit points to the tune of 20% additional hit points. That's pretty good. Not to mention, speed and initiative, those are really high-quality stats for the Minotaurs early on. They're a good solid unit. They can take a hit and they can really put out a bunch of damage, and being able to move them on the adventure map and on the battle map much better actually really makes them much more effective. Every amount of initiative and speed does a lot for them. If you are facing enemy Minotaurs, the enemy Minotaurs are going to be much less effective because they're going to look at Devir, the son of Devir, and say, "Oh man, I wish I was following that guy." And they're going to be demoralized and not do nearly so well, while your Minotaurs are going to be kicking butt and running all over the adventure map. You gotta point out, though, it's only going to be 2 stacks of 3 to 4 Minotaurs. So anywhere between 6 to 8 Minotaurs, that's what you can expect to start off with. Is that enough to clear the adventure map in Olden Era? To my experience, no. It does depend on what difficulty level you're starting off with, but when I try and pick a hero that specializes in a unit, I really want something that early on is going to catapult me into some mid to late game relevancy, and Minotaurs don't just quite cut it for me. So that feels kind of bad. Not my favorite there. But if you want to have this nice fine choice, I mean, hey, Devir starts off with basic leadership, and so guaranteeing that the leader of your forces is always going to have high leadership is not too bad of a deal. Where exactly does this all put Devir, son of Devir? That's going to put him into this kind of more tough to use sort of section. Like, he can be effective. He's not bad. He's not bad. But I just think that there's generally better choices out there. So Devir, you go into the tough to use section, but don't let me hold that against you. You're still high quality. Number one in our hearts, I'm sure. We're going to go next to Sister Deira. This is going to be the very first time that we see a magic-based hero, or rather a warlock from the dungeon factions. And she's kind of interesting because she starts off with a spell. Now, she's going to cast the Masterful Arina's Chosen spell at a higher rate and right off the bat. And it's not a bad spell. It's a really interesting, kind of cool spell, but it's also kind of tough to use. So here's what it does. The Arina's Chosen spell will mean that from wherever you cast that spell, the stack of creatures that you cast this on can never drop below 20% of their starting stack. So if I cast this Arina's Chosen onto a stack of 10 Minotaurs, I can never have that stack drop below 2. I'm always going to have at least 2 Minotaurs, so they can tank a lot of damage, and they can maybe like stand in front of some other units, and you know that you're always going to keep a couple around. If I have 100 Troglodytes, guaranteed I'm never going to have less than 20 Troglodytes. There's some value in that, but the problem is that you're going to lose 80% of your Troglodytes or Minotaurs or whatever else you have. You're going to have to be pretty crafty in order to really use this Arina's Chosen in a lot of these playthroughs, especially against adventure map neutral creature type of deals. I like it, I just don't love it. I like it, I just don't love it. I think I would love it more if this daylight magic spell, if she started off with daylight magic as her secondary skill. She doesn't. She starts off with the basic thaumaturgy. I'm totally saying that wrong, but it's basic thaumaturgy. It's the secondary skill that allows you to cast 2 spells in 1 round of combat. Usually for every round of combat you can cast 1 spell. This is the secondary skill that lets you cast 2 spells per round. It's pretty good in the late game. I really like it if I'm going up against an enemy hero, and you can sometimes surprise them. An enemy player is going to be like, whoa, where'd that come from? I thought you already cast a spell this round. So it's really a nice secondary skill. Early on though, it's pretty bad. You don't have the mana pools necessary to really use that. So overall, where does Sister Deira, with this weird spell and this lack of basic functionality, kind of land for me? Unfortunately, she's gonna kind of land in this tough to use sort of section here. She's not bad, but she's tough to use. Definitely not my favorite. I don't think that the spell is good enough, and I don't think that her secondary skill is good enough to really warrant me using her all that often. Sad. Moving on, we're going to come up to a Medusa. This is going to be another Overlord. This is going to be Enatee. This is a hero that will start off with 3 to 4 Medusa, and Medusa are a very high quality unit in the Olden Era play. Now, Medusa are going to increase in their development and growth in your cities by 1, and they're also going to have additional speed, initiative, HP, pretty standard stuff. They're going to scale into the late game with this hero here, and enemy Medusa that come against her are also going to struggle. Okay, that's going to be a pretty standard formula that you're going to see anytime that you have a hero that is a unit hero and specializes in a unit. It seems like it's pretty standard that it's 1 speed, 1 initiative, and 20 HP, and then reduction for the enemy's stats. That's a pretty common thing here, actually. What makes her fairly uncommon is that, unlike with Minotaurs trying to clear the neutral creatures on the adventure map, Medusa can do a lot there. Medusa can do a bunch. Medusa are actually pretty good because they've got an AoE damaging strike ability, so they can attack these clumped troops. They do have a pretty good health pool, so they can actually survive a little bit against maybe some ranged creatures. And Enatee here, she does start off with basic defense, and so friendly creatures do take negative 10% damage from basic attacks. Overall, not a bad hero, and she can maybe give you the early start that you're looking for. But is that going to be enough to make her maybe our first very fine choice or can't go wrong choice? And I say to you, no. I'm going to say that she is the best of the I can make this work sort of hero at the moment. Like, I can make this work. It's not a bad choice. Unfortunately, and maybe this is a good thing, there's just better choices out there. So for now, we will keep her here. Maybe we will look at the end of this and we will see if we need to readjust. But now we have the economy man himself. This is going to be the hero Glastor. Glastor is a really pretty good hero if you're looking for a strong economy, because if you find them in a tavern, I think you should take them every time, without a doubt, no questions asked. No matter which faction you start off as, Glastor produces 500 gold per day and an additional 100 gold for every hero level that they have. And on top of that, they start off with basic economy, meaning that from the very first day, they will start off with 1,000 gold per day. This is a free gold mine, walking around, moving your troops from point A to point B, and being all around. Yeah, this hero, I mean, they could come with one Troglodyte, and I think that there's a lot of cases where I would still hire this hero. Even on a single player map, I could see this hero being valuable because you say, look, I'm going to just roll through my economy. I'm going to make darn sure that I'm never going to want for gold. And even in my playthroughs, even in the single hero playthroughs, I do find that there comes points in the mid to late game where I'm struggling with resources, I'm struggling with gold. Glastor can solve all of your problems. So if you're interested, they also have the Thick Hide spell, which increases the defense of a creature stack in battle, a negative 15% damage on the melee. Overall, this is gonna have to be, for me, because of my playstyle and how much I enjoy gold, this is gonna be a can't go wrong pick. If this is a single player mode that you're playing, or arena, maybe you move this. If it's arena, then it's tough to use, don't use this, right? But if this is a multi-hero map or even a single hero map, yeah, I think that this might be a can't go wrong. Gold is king, and gold is gonna go a long way for us. Glastor, congratulations. I can't go wrong with you. That's where I put you for now. We will see if you will stay there in the can't go wrong section by yourself, or if somebody else will join you. How about, for example, Gleard? Gleard. Now, Gleard is a kind of nifty hero. First off, in case you haven't noticed, he's kind of like a dragon. And in case you haven't noticed, he's holding a chess piece. That indicates that he is very crafty and wise. He is forthcoming, and he's a very good planner. He plans what he's going to do. And for his speciality, he plans to use arcane spells. He gets +1 to the effect of all the arcane spells that he casts, and he gets additional ability power with those arcane spells every 10 levels that he gets. Really good hero, especially because the enemy cannot cast arcane spells. There's a lot of arcane spells out there that are really, really good. There's a lot of really, really good ones. And so if the enemy is in battle and they have their whole strategy around, say, the arcane spell that will allow you to resurrect your forces through rewind death, hey, guess what? Can't do that. Gleard is on the battlefield, and you are not going to enjoy having those arcane spells there. So really good hero, and can really surprise the enemy. Worth noting that they do start off with the Shackles spell, preventing the enemy from counterattacking for a round, and he starts off with the basic arcane magic. So he's going to be proficient in arcane magic. He's going to shut down one school of magic for your enemies. Gleard is basically a good pick in a lot of ways, but also very highly dependent. Can you effectively use them all the time? Not necessarily. If the enemy effectively scouts you, they will make the appropriate changes before they come into contact with you. So just keep that in mind. Where is that going to put Gleard as far as here on the battlefield? I'm gonna put him as a very fine choice. Specializing for sure, like guaranteed in arcane magic with the secondary skill. I think that actually makes him a mighty fine hero. There's a lot of really good arcane spells out there early on. Early start is always a good one. The spell that does damage based off of how many focus points you currently have at the moment. There's a lot of good high quality arcane spells. I think that this is always going to be a very, very fine choice. So good job, Gleard. you are now officially a very fine choice. Moving on, we're going to have the hero Kelarr, son of Navarre. This is interesting. This was one of the heroes that was teased by Olden Era when they were getting psyched up into presenting Olden Era to everybody, and they kind of did the making of this hero's portrait. It was really cool to see how it was hand drawn and hand done. But this is a very wise hero. This is a very wise Minotaur here, and the speciality for this hero is really surprising. As far as I'm aware, every single faction has at least one hero that is like Kelarr, who is the type of hero that will gain additional experience points based off the experience that they get. The way it works is you get additional experience just for their secondary or for themselves, and then when they level up, they get additional primary attribute points. So they'll get an additional attack skill or additional defense skill or an additional knowledge or power or what have you. They turn out to be pretty good heroes. I think it's a really interesting concept because learning from Heroes of Might and Magic 3 with Horn of the Abyss was only recently adjusted to the point where it didn't become S tier, but it certainly wasn't D tier anymore. It's kind of gone into that sort of change with these heroes, and I've seen some really nasty heroes, specifically Pip, who is the temple equivalent of Kelarr. Yeah, I ran into a Pip that had about twice the stats I had in a playthrough. So I can see the value here. This is actually kind of nifty for this hero to get additional levels and additional primary stats. Not to mention, by the way, that Kelarr does start off with basic insight. So it's putting a hat on a hat. What can you say? The spell that they start off with is From a Bird's Eye. It will reveal the borders of all areas, including those hidden by the Fog of War. Borders are important to understand because of the way that they impact your gameplay and how far you move in any area, whether it's contained or not. It's not a bad spell, but it's definitely, I could do without it. Ultimately, where's Kelarr going to land? This hero is going to be kind of more in the I can make this work. Not the worst, but definitely not a go-to pick every single time. If I randomly roll him, I will absolutely say I can make this work. So moving on, we're going to go to Kieran. Now, this guy, if you just look at the portrait, can you imagine what this hero does? What does the blind guy do? The blind guy loves Troglodytes, and they all hang out together. So Troglodytes, you're going to get additional Troglodytes, 1 speed, 1 initiative, 20 HP. Enemy Troglodytes are not going to do so good against you. Yeah. Okay, you start off with so many Troglodytes with the hero Kieran. 3 stacks of 17 to 22. You are maxed out at potentially 66 Troglodytes. Just starting off, you can do an awful lot with 66 Troglodytes. You can win some fights you have no business even trying to take in the early game with Kieran if you want to. Now, the secondary skill, starting off with basic tactics, not that great. There is no spell that Kieran starts off with, but just the sheer overwhelming early game numbers of the Troglodytes can be pretty valuable, and they're going to be good, they're going to be strong, and with the faction law abilities, if you want to invest in your Troglodytes, you sure can. Kieran, I mean, not dragons, but how many Troglodytes does it take to kill one dragon? Well, throw enough Troglodytes at the dragon and let's go find out. Kieran, where are you going to land on this tier ranking? I'm going to put you kind of in this tough to use, but only because it's situational. If you're in a single hero mode, then I think that you've got to be in the tough to use kind of sphere. If you are a normal sort of map, I think that we go into the I can make this work. There's a strategy here that absolutely will work, but I don't think you necessarily want Kieran to be your #1 hero. So tell you what, because of that, we're going to split the difference. We're actually going to put you into the I can make this work because there is a tactic and a strategy. We've seen lots of Heroes of Might and Magic 3 players make great use of the Troglodytes in the early game advantages that you can eke out because of a big mass quality of troops and power stacks. Tell you what, Kieran, I can make this work. I can make this work. So thanks for playing. Where do you land on this tier ranking? That's where you land. Okay, next up is Lodos. Gotta tell you, I love Lodos. Lodos is pretty darn good. Lodos will get +1 level to all Nightshade spells, +1 more for every 10 hero levels, and the enemy hero cannot cast Nightshade spells. I'm going to do this right now. In the same way that I really enjoy what the heck is your name? Gleard? Gleard the dragon and Lodos. Both of them I like very, very much for the same reasons, right? Because you're going to specialize in your school of magic. In this case, it's Arcane. In this case, it's going to be Nightshade. And the enemy can't cast Nightshade. The enemy can't cast Arcane. Very good. I love all of that. I love all of that. And for Lodos to be able to use the Nightshade, you're going to have some really nasty tricks up your sleeves. You're going to start off also, by the way, with the sleep spell, which is essentially like a blind. Consider it like a blind that is going to disable an enemy's ability to attack and to go through the game very effectively. But it's worth noting that you can only cast sleep on any stack of creatures one time in a battle. Not just one time in a round, I mean one time in a battle. So if you put them to sleep, they're going to go to sleep. When you wake them up by poking them with a stick, or whenever the spell ends its duration, they are now awake for the rest of the battle. So you can't really abuse it. It's one of the examples of the ways that the Olden Era developers have tried to take a nuanced approach to some of these old school strategies, saying, hey, we like the ability to kind of shut down this stack of creatures. In what way can we make it a little bit more balanced? What have we seen in professional play for Horn of the Abyss and such? How can we make this better? A more healthier version of this spell. So pretty good. And Lodos does start off with basic Nightshade magic, ensuring that you're going to have access to one of the schools of magic. Pretty good to me. So Lodos, I've already told you where you go. Because of your secondary skill though, or rather because of the sleep spell, you're actually going to go above Gleard. You're going to go above Gleard. Yeah. Gleard, not bad, but the spell here is not nearly so good as the sleep spell. And that is the way I feel about it. On to Motley. Hey, it's Motley. Hero Motley, I gotta tell you. So I got a playthrough already on YouTube. Well, I don't know if it's on YouTube yet. It's probably not on YouTube yet. But in one of my first videos of gameplay for the dungeon faction in Olden Era, I choose Motley, the hero, as my single player hero because I really, really love the Onyx Dancers. Motley is the Onyx Dancer hero, +1 speed, +1 initiative, 20 HP, and starting off with a big stack of these Onyx Dancers, you can actually do a ton because of the way that the Onyx Dancers work with their 1,000 cuts ability that reduce the defense of enemies that come against them. You put this hero, Motley, with a couple of Troglodytes kind of as a meat shield or a shield wall in front of these high quality troops, you can do a bunch of stuff. Motley is pretty darn good. I like her very, very much. Yeah, just a good starting hero. Gives me everything I need. Worth noting that Motley also does start off with the basic luck, so you're going to have increased luck by 1. It's never bad to have good luck, and starts off with the Twilight spell, which starting off with 40 spell points and then having the Twilight spell be 18 spell points each. You can cast it twice in a fight at the very beginning, right off the gate. Yeah, you can take some ranged fights that maybe you had no business fighting otherwise. Yeah, Motley can do an awful lot for you to get a good start on any adventure map. Motley, where do you land? Motley, I gotta tell you, you're a very fine choice. You're kind of weird with your red skin and your, I don't know, is that a Harlequin outfit? I kind of struggled to tell exactly what she's got going on there, but Motley, whatever you got going on, you got it. Just keep being you. Keep being you. Speaking of interesting outfits, we do have another hero here who's going to be another troop speciality sort of hero. I don't know how you say this. I feel like it's French, and I don't want to offend my French community. Mouaren, the Infiltrator. Clearly, this guy is leading the Infiltrators, and he is probably an Infiltrator himself. So Infiltrators are going to get the extra stats, and enemy Infiltrators are going to be reduced in their capabilities. He's going to start off with basic scouting, so +1 slight radius to this hero on the adventure map. So no real basic advantages in combat. But starting off with the Infiltrators as a second tier troop are pretty good. I really do like the Infiltrators. The problem is that it's not until you get the ability to have them shut down any retaliation that they become awesome. And while most templates, you're going to find the right amount of, you're going to find enough of your alchemical dust to upgrade your Infiltrators into the Guile Infiltrators or so on. It's good. It's good. But I think they're going to lose your stacks of infiltrators a lot quicker than you would like to. Whether you're breaking off single stacks to have the single stacks eat retaliation, or you're sending some troglodyte single stacks to go eat some retaliations. Good hero. I like having the infiltrators. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. Where is this going to land? It's going to go into the tough to use. Yeah, you'd think that starting off with a bunch of infiltrators would actually put you in the I can make this work. Less so than even Kieran. I'm going to say this is probably top of the list with Devir, but yeah, I think the infiltrators are maybe a little bit better than the Minotaurs, but not by a lot. Not by a lot. So that's where you go, and that's where you'll stay. Now, next we are on to one of our troglodyte friends. This is going to be Rhea the troglodyte. Rhea is going to have luck. Lots and lots of luck. Standard starting army, overlord types of stats. And with the +1 luck, for each point of luck, creatures will have additional chances to deal a critical strike. So lucky already, and then even more so lucky. By the way, starting off with the basic luck skill, Rhea, it depends on how much you plan on using infiltrators. It depends on how much you plan on using infiltrators. It's worth noting that there is in the dungeon faction laws, there is the ability for lucky strikes to potentially just shut down some retaliations and such. Within the luck tree, there are some really nice sub skills that will give you some value. Rhea, good, but not great. When lots of other heroes can pick up luck as well, I tend to value this start a little bit less than maybe I should. So for now, I think that I just need more information. I think I need to play around with Olden Era quite a bit more to figure out just how good luck is, how good the sub skills with luck really are, and really how luck exists in the dungeon economy, knowing that there are some faction law specialities, some different tactical opportunities. Until I know more about how this fits within the dungeon faction, I don't feel comfortable ranking Rhea just yet. So I need some more information. We're going to hold it on to that right there for now. Rhea, we'll come back to another day. Moving on, we've got the hero Stinger. Can you tell that Stinger just wants to be edgy? With her little tattoo of a scorpion on her face. Did her mother tell her that would make her unemployable? I'm sorry, I just offended like half the population. Everybody in 2025 has a tattoo on their face. I feel like I should get one, but probably not like a scorpion. Maybe like a Hello Kitty or something. Anyway, Stinger is really cool. Her heroic strikes will deal additional damage and more damage as she levels up. Now, this is kind of important. It will poison targets until the end of the next round, so it'll do just like the front end damage, which is increased, and it will do some kind of magic poison damage, which is not bad. And she starts off with advanced triumvirate strength. So I haven't mentioned it, but every single one of these heroes that we've gone over so far, they start off with basic triumvirate strength, which is the faction specific skill that comes with the dungeon faction. It allows you to pick one of 3 stances in battle. It will either increase your attack skill, it will increase your defense skill, or it will increase your spell casting ability. And for Stinger to start off with the advanced triumvirate strength, she is one step closer to getting the sub skill that will allow her to, every single time she picks a stance, pick up 1 full focus charge. So with 1 lucky level up, by level 2, Stinger can get the opportunity to spam heroic strikes again and again and again and again and again and again and again with no recourse. She can clear out neutral creatures very, very well, in my opinion. I think that she is going to be an excellent choice for some early game shenanigans. I want you to give her a try. I think that she is the bee's knees, as it were. So go and check out Stinger, see if you can make her work. Let me know what you think about her. I think she's a very fine choice. Now, I don't think that Heroic Strike is going to scale into the late game, right? I don't think it's going to be that good later on, but being able to clear the adventure map early on, knowing that there's some nice opportunities out there, very fine choice. I like Stinger. We're gonna stick with that. Next up, we've got Sunny. Oh, Sunny. Oh, Sunny Rauktol. You look like you are a troglodyte that wanted to pretend like you could see. We got like the little eye shape, which is the green spiral, and they got their little staff. Not too bad of a looking hero. Just is this like albinoism except for troglodytes? Tough to tell you, but this is a really cool hero. They start off with +1 level to all their daylight spells. They get additional abilities with those daylight spells, and enemies cannot cast daylight spells. If you know that you're going up against the Temple faction, you might want to take Sunny just because of that. Sunny is a very interesting kind of strategic choice, and it's really nice because they start off with the basic daylight magic. Remember, that was the thing that kind of held me back from, which hero was it? From one of the heroes. I was like, no, I don't like them just because they don't start off with that. Oh, it was Sister Deira. Yeah, I didn't like her because she didn't start off with one of the schools of magic, and Sunny does. And because Sunny does, I like her. It goes fine. It's pretty good. They do start off, by the way, with the Inner Light spell, which reduces the duration of all negative effects applied to a target friendly creature. So it's good. It's not the best. It's all right. It's not my favorite spell. It's kind of like a low tier spell. Later on, it might be great, but right now, not my favorite spell because it's not going to get you an early game advantage, and an early game advantage is not going to take you into the late game. But because there's the late game ability with the School of Magic, that's still going to make Sunny be, hey man, there's a strategy here. There's a plan. I can absolutely make this work. There you go. I can make this work. Sunny, that's where you belong. All right, moving on. We're going to pick up Tellaris. Now, Tellaris is kind of nifty because number one, they're betrayed. And number two, they start off with Masterful Early Start. Early Start is a arcane spell that allows you to have some additional initiative, right? Or rather, well, okay. There's two stats in Olden Era. There is speed and there's initiative. Initiative determines in what turn order units go, and then speed determines how far you go, right? So this does not increase your speed, but this does move your unit up in the turn order by 2, which is pretty nifty. Masterful Early Start, it also means that it can't be dispelled by any means, and it's got some nice other effects there. So AoE and multiple creatures affected and so on and so forth. So Tellaris the Betrayed, if you want your units to go first, pretty good. The problem with Tellaris and Early Start is that I don't think that initiative is as important for the dungeon faction as I would like to think. You've got a certain break point with your Medusa and especially with your Onyx dancers where they're kind of hanging out at that 4 to 6 initiative, and so you really got to push for the Onyx dancers. You got to push them way up in the initiative in order to get the first shot off from some advancing creatures. Hive creatures tend to tear apart Onyx dancers and Medusa pretty well because of just how fast they are. So it's good. It's a good spell and it's a good ability and this and that and yada yada. It's good. But for the dungeon faction, I just don't think it jives with the dungeon faction as well as it would for, say, Temple. I think that Masterful Early Start, if you were playing as Temple, I think it's actually much better than if you were playing dungeon, just because of the different troop compositions from faction to faction. So still not bad, and worth noting that Tellaris does start off with basic battlecraft, which allows you to skip and wait on your unit's turns, and in doing so they will get additional stats, whether it's bonus attack skill when they wait, or whether it's defense when they skip their turn when they defend. But still, where is that going to put Tellaris? Tellaris, for me, you're kind of in this tough to use sort of a thing. Now, I might be wrong. I could maybe say, hey, I need some more information. But for now, just based off of what I know about the dungeon faction in my playthroughs, I don't think that the initiative is as good of a stat as maybe I think it is otherwise. So for now, they will go into this tough to use area right there. And next up, we will have Typhona. Now, this is kind of a nifty hero. This is like a remember how Enatee was a Medusa? Well, I think that Typhona is also definitely a Medusa because of, you know, the snakes in her hair. But this hero, instead of leading the Medusa, is actually going to lead the Hydras, which is really cool because whereas, again, Minotaurs maybe can't clear the adventure map so well, a couple of Hydras, 2 Hydras, can do a lot of fights. Hydras are a good unit. They're tanky, they have some offensive capability, AoE. Hydras are a good unit to try and clear the adventure map with. And given that Typhona actually has the taunt ability where she can require enemies within 2 hexes to attack 1 creature stack, if your Hydras are in trouble, you can cast taunt on 1 single Troglodyte and you can save your Hydras. You can cast taunt on the Hydras and get everybody to go right around the Hydras, and then they will just do their whirly dervish sort of attack. So Typhona has got a good mix of, you know, the troops and the abilities with the taunt. Really good. And this is another hero that starts off with advanced triumvirance strength, and so again, 1 step away from getting unlimited focus charges. Really cool. I like that. I don't like it as much as I did for, you know, other heroes, but still I like it. Pretty darn good. Typhona, where do you land? I'm gonna say that this is a very fine choice. Very fine choice indeed. You can do a lot of damage with a couple of Hydras. Okay, moving on then. Who do we have up next? We have Ylwari. We got Ylwari the Medusa. So this is gonna be our 3rd Medusa here. Ylwari is, I will tell you right now, I know exactly where Ylwari goes. Ylwari goes into this Fix Fox needs more info, because I still need to figure out exactly how good diplomacy is in Olden Era, and I just don't know the answer just yet. I don't know how good it is. She's got the special ability that will allow her to keep her army if she's fleeing a battle from neutral squads. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with that. You can fast travel with Ylwari if you want to just fight a battle on this side of the adventure map. You can fight the fight, run, and then you can hire her in a tavern anywhere on the adventure map. That's pretty big. You can poor man's travel, fast travel, town portal, and you get to keep your troops. Ylwari might be overpowered, and she might not be, I don't know how good that's going to be. I don't know if there's going to be adventure map spells with the, you know, they're just gonna be better, right? Better options than that, with town portal, town gate, things like that. I don't know, but I do know that if we're talking about diplomacy, that having additional persuasion power using diplomacy is always pretty good. Of course, she's going to start off with the basic diplomacy, allowing you to sometimes recruit neutral armies for gold instead of fighting them. And she also has the assemble spell, which allows her to interact with other heroes that are kind of far away. She doesn't actually have to walk up to them to trade for artifacts and resources. She's kind of like a glue person, a glue guy. In some sports, it's the person that doesn't necessarily score all the points or get do all the dirty work. But they do everything necessary to help keep the team running well. Ylwari might be that kind of secondary or tertiary hero that keeps the rest of your forces going. So Ylwari, I've already decided. I need more information to figure out exactly if you are overpowered or if you're kind of meh. For now, you're going to go in this Fix Fox needs more info. I'm looking forward to you being awesome. Don't fail me. I believe in you. You're the cover girl of Olden Era. Best of luck. You can do it. All right. That's enough with Ylwari. And folks, we are at our final hero. This is going to be Zakron the Great. Zakron is another Troglodyte, and this is a Troglodyte that has illusions of grandeur. No, not really. This is a Troglodyte that is a spellcaster, which is kind of nifty. Plus 10% damage with spells, plus 1% more for every 2 hero levels, and the damage from the enemy hero spells is reduced by the same value. They've essentially got a built-in resistance to spells damage. That's kind of nifty, just built in. Now, it's not going to be incredibly high, but I imagine you could stack this with basic resistance, and so you're just pumping out tons of damage from spells yourself, and you're taking minimal damage. Not very good against might-based heroes and army compositions, but still, overall, can you really go wrong with doing spell damage? I submit to you the answer is no. And it kind of helps that they start off with the Firewall special ability, and instantly you're having flashbacks to Heroes of Might and Magic 3. You're picturing Luna with the firewall and clearing the adventure map just with the firewall. I haven't really tried the firewall spell that much. I tried it one time, and I think that you just get to choose 2 hexes. It's not like, oh, it has to be here or wherever. You get to choose which 2 hexes you want to kind of cordon off from your enemy. You can hide 1 stack of creatures in a corner, and I'm sure you can use the firewall as ability. Is it going to be as overpowered as it is with Luna? I actually think that overall could be a really good opportunity to help you clear the adventure map early. And knowing that they scale into the late game with damage, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Rather than say, oh, I need more information and just kick the can down the road, I'm gonna say that Zakron is gonna be all the way up into the very fine choice sort of detail. So folks, let's take a quick look and see how FixFox did. We've got, you can't go wrong with gold and Glastor. Prove me wrong. Tell me how wrong I am. All of this is subject to debate in the comments, so please let me know what you think about this. So we're gonna say Glastor, can't go wrong with additional gold. You can't go wrong with Stinger having the heroic strike and doing oodles of damage that way, clearing the adventure map early on. Zakron the Great, very fine choice when it comes down to having spell power and reducing spell power used against you. Starting off with 2 Hydras early on, pretty good for clearing the adventure map and getting an early start. Lodos with the speciality of the Nightshade magic, high quality there. Kelarr, it's Gleard. I'm always going to mess that up. Gleard the Dragon, same basic deal, starting off the Arcane speciality. Okay, my girl Motley with her Onyx dancers, all very fine choices in my opinion. And then of course we can make Enatee work, we can make Creta, we can make Kelarr, we can make Kieran, we can make Sunny, all work. And then I do find it difficult to use the speciality for the Infiltrators, speciality for the Minotaurs, speciality for Arina's Chosen, speciality for Tellaris. What do you do? Masterful early start. So interesting that I don't really value these 2 spells very much. Interesting that doesn't move the needle for me. So maybe I need more information on how I can best use that spell. But then again, I got Zakron the Great up here with Firewall, and I recognize how good that could be. So kind of interesting how that works out. And by the way, the Medusa speciality, the +1 gems, the learning, the Troglodytes, and the daylight magic spells. I can make them work. I can make this work. These ones are tough to use for me. Those tough for me to use. Ylwari, I'm still waiting to figure out how good she is. She might be OP. She might be overpowered. I won't know until I do a little bit more digging. And then for Rhea, just knowing that luck is a good stat. How good is it? I think that Rhea might end up somewhere in the tough to use. So I can make this work phase, probably in the tough to use. Traditionally, heroes that specialize in luck don't tend to do exceptionally well from other Heroes of Might and Magic games. So folks, we have this kind of nice, I don't want to call this an even distribution. Really, not a lot of heroes you can't go wrong with, but there's a lot of good choices, a lot of A-OK choices, and then a couple of other options. We will see how this all shakes out, folks. Do me a huge favor and let me know what you think about this tier ranking. Let me know about any of these heroes. Let me know what successes or failures you've had with Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era. I love Heroes of Might and Magic, and I play it weekly. And so if this intrigues you, do me a favor, like this video, comment, let's have a fun discussion. Let's get excited for 2026 when Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era is set to come out, and let's have a fun time beating each other up on the adventure map and the battle map. I think that this is going to be top tier. My name is FixFox. I'm grateful for the time, grateful for the energy. Until I see you again, take very good care of yourself, those around you, and yeah, check in with me. Let me know how you're doing. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.